Hello, I'm Joel Blackford with Beth Hesed Sabbath Fellowship, and I'm here to give you another session, another lesson on the philosophy of eschatology. We're Beth Hesed. We're negotiating to open right now, so call 612-315-6778 before you show up. We're working on the negotiations. We're in Minnesota, people. Okay, so it was a lockdown state. I'm in a building where it is a lockdown building. They haven't opened up for a full year. And they have other rules, so we'll see if we can get around their rules a little bit. But we'll see how it goes. So once again, the philosophy of eschatology, there's going to be a lot of philosophy today. The knowledge, your reality, what's your existence going to be during this time frame? We try not to be disparate. We try to make sense with what you're actually reading in the Bible. We're Beth Hesed Sabbath Fellowship. Welcome to this lesson. Can zombies bearing the 666 be saved? Yeah, we're going to talk about that. That's the mark down below. We'll discuss that. But that's what one person thinks the mark of 666 looks like. So what do you do when people take the mark? And we aren't there yet. So the jab, so to speak, is not the mark of the beast right now. It just isn't. So we have the Great Commission. And it's interesting how most people, 51%, don't know what the Great Commission is. 25% can't really recall it. So that's like saying no. So we're up to 76%. I'm not sure it's 6%, so we're really down to 17% of the people out there have a clue that Yeshua came and talked to his Talmudim, his disciples, and said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me, therefore go and make people from all nations into Talmudim, into disciples, immersing them into the reality of the Father, the Son, and the Ruach HaKodesh, that's the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything that I have commanded you. And remember, I will be with you always, yes, even until the end of the age. That's Matthew 28:18 through 20. So it's really a mirror on what Isaiah quoted in 52:7, which is, how beautiful on the mountains are the feet of him who brings good news. That's the good news. That's the Great Commission. Proclaiming peace, shalom, bringing good news to good things, announcing salvation, that's Yeshua, and saying to Zion, your God is king. Okay, so basically we're supposed to do that. To zombies? The Great Commission to zombies? So what's a zombie? Somebody that takes the mark and they go to another place. Okay, so let's look at it and let's say this is Revelation 14 and see what God says about it. Another angel, a third one, followed them and said in a loud voice, if anyone worships the beast and its image and receives the mark on their forehead or on his hand, he will indeed drink the cup, the wine of God's fury, poured undiluted into the cup of his rage. He will be tormented by fire and sulfur before the holy angels and before the Lamb, and the smoke from their tormenting goes up forever and ever. Yeah, they're not annihilated. This goes up forever and ever. They have no rest, day or night. Those who worship the beast and its image, and those who receive the mark of its name. This is when perseverance, hupomone, in the Greek, is needed on the part of God's people. Those who, and this sounds just like Moses here, observe his commands. That is shamar his mitzvot. That reads just like Moses in the Hebrew. Trust me, people, it does. Okay, and exercise Yeshua's emunah, the faithfulness. That reads just like Hebrew in terms of Moses again. John sounds like Moses. That section. So once again, the philosophy of the end of days. Can we, honestly read the Bible and deal with the fact that we're going to deal with zombies, okay, because they're here already, and what's the prophecy on this, and what's the news? So let's read the scriptures and let's look at the philosophy of what we're going through right now. So, let's pretend that they've already worn the 666 in terms of this person's, this is disgusting, okay? And so this is that little Nas, and he made his video, and it's really horrible, and he sold the shoes with the 666, and it's not actually the mark, but it sounds like he's already gone over the dark side. So what do you preach to this guy? I mean, what kind of salvation message do you preach to a person this far gone? Okay, that demonic. So let's see what it says from 1 Timothy 4:1 through 3. The Spirit expressly states that in the Acharith Hayumim, which would be the end of days in Hebrew, some people will apostatize from the faith by paying attention to deceiving spirits and things taught by demons. Such teachings come from the hypocrisy of liars whose own consciences have been burned, seared. It's cauterized basically in the Greek, okay? Seared in their own conscience as with a branding iron, and it deadens, it numbs the nerves as if with a red hot branding iron. They forbid marriage and require abstinence from foods which God created to be eaten with thanksgiving by those who have come to trust and know the truth. So that's First Timothy. Interesting. So basically, we know that their consciences are going to be seared. So if they have the mark of 666 or their consciences are seared, how do you preach to them? We're supposed to preach the good news, right? Great Commission. I don't think we can. So you're going to have to deal with that. You might as well start thinking about it now, okay? So let's go way back to the beginning times. Let's go back to Noah. And it looks like by faith, Noah, being divinely warned of things not yet seen, he had never seen a flood, moved with godly fear, prepared an ark for the saving of his household. He tried to save others, but nobody was interested, by which he condemned the world and became heir of righteousness, which is according to faith, emunah again. So many will follow their debaucheries, and because of them the true way will be maligned. In their greed they will exploit you with fabricated stories. Their punishment, decreed long ago, is not idle. Their destruction is not asleep, for God did not spare the angels who sinned. On the contrary, he put them into gloomy dungeons, lower than Sheol, which is way down deep, to be held for judgment in the end days. Okay, he did not spare the ancient world, nor on the contrary, he preserved Noah, the herald of righteousness, and 7 others, and brought the flood upon the world of ungodly people, and he condemned the city of Sodom and Gomorrah, reducing them to ashes and ruin. So he did it twice, okay? So basically, those people couldn't be saved because they rejected God, okay? And Noah preached very well. So here's the same verses again from 2 Peter 2, which is, he condemned the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, reducing them to ashes and ruin, as a warning to those of the future who would live ungodly lives. But he rescued Lot, a righteous man. Yeah, Lot was righteous. It doesn't sound like it, but he was. Who was distressed by the debauchery of those unprincipled people for the wicked deeds which that righteous man saw and heard, as he lived among them, tormented his righteous heart day after day. So the Lord knows how to rescue the godly from the trials, and how to hold the wicked until the day of judgment, while continuing to punish them. So that's 2 Peter 2, 6 through 9. The crimes of your system, Sodom and Gomorrah, were pride and gluttony. She and her daughters were careless and complacent, so that they did nothing to help the poor and the needy. They were arrogant and committed disgusting acts before me, so that when I saw it, I swept them away. And he literally came down, observed, and then, but Lot preached, but yet only 3 people were saved out of this. Only 3. That was it. So Moses preached too. So Noah, Lot, and Moses. And so Moses went to Pharaoh and talked to him and said, Adonai made Pharaoh hard-hardened, and he would not let him go. Pharaoh said to them, get away from me, and you'd better not see my face again, because the day you see my face, you will die. Moses answered, well spoken. I will see your face no more. And that was the case. So Philip found Nathanael and told him, we found the one that Moses wrote about in the Torah, also the prophets. It's Yeshua ben Yosef from Nazareth. So basically, and I'll just read Acts here. Therefore, my opinion is that we should not put obstacles in the way of the Goyim, the Gentiles, who are turning to God. Instead, we should write them a letter telling them to abstain from things polluted by idols, from fornication, that's number 2, from things that are strangled, number 3, and from blood, eating blood. So that's number 4. From the earliest times, Moses has in every city those who proclaim him, and his words being read in the synagogues every Sabbath. So what do we do with zombies? I mean, does this apply to zombies? Can we preach to zombies? I don't think we can. So if they take the mark, so there's one idea of what the mark looks like. This is another idea on the other side. I don't know what the mark is going to look like. You're going to have many players going on. You're going to have the good guys, the 2 witnesses, 144,000 are going to be good people. You're going to have, this guy thinks it's Obama, is Gog. You're going to have the false prophet, Sadhu Sundar says it's Pope Francis, and then you're going to have the Antichrist too. So if someone takes the mark, how do you preach to them? What do you say? Let's pretend these are your loved ones. What are you going to say to them? Now, I cite her every now and then. This is Rebecca Sterling, and the video series is Skid Davidson, A Voice Crying in the Wilderness, about the Rebecca Sterling videos. And so she saw the players. She saw this vision in 1999. She videoed it in 2015, but she did write about it before that time. She assumed it was all due by 2017, and plausible and definitely in 2021. And she sees things like aliens and extra dimensionals, like Revelation chapter 9. And this is one of those videos that shows it with the mark that she saw. We'll see if she's right. So once again, she saw Barack Obama and his family. She saw Pope Francis. She saw the Antichrist. I know who she thought she saw. We won't be talking about that. And then General Green and his family. And he was killed or died. No, the funeral was on Av 9 of 2014. And that's the first time the sitting president has not attended a general's funeral, which is very interesting. So I'm saying that the mark is interesting based on what she's showing. And I don't know if it's going to end up being the mark, but it isn't here yet. Okay? So what is the philosophy of preaching to damned people? This is the only time that I can find it in the Bible. So this is your philosophy lesson, okay? So let's see if we can make sense of what's going on here and if it kind of applies to this. For the Messiah was put to death in the flesh, but brought to life by the Spirit. And in the form he went and made a proclamation to the imprisoned spirits, to those who were disobedient long ago in the days of Noah, when God waited patiently during the building of the ark, in which a few people, to be specific 8, were delivered by means of water. This also prefigures what delivers us now, the water of immersion, which would be a mikvah, a baptism, which is not the removal of dirt from the body, but one's pledge to keep good conscience towards God through the resurrection of Yeshua the Messiah. So that's 1 Peter 3:18, kind of 18-ish through 21. And so Ephesians talks about it this way. So this is from Paul. This is what it says. After he went up into the heights, he led captivity captive, and he gave gifts to mankind. Now this phrase, he went up, that can only mean that he first went down into the lower parts, that is, the earth. So we see this a few sections here, 1 Peter 3:18, 2 Peter 2:4 through 8, Ephesians 4:8 through 9, a little bit. I'm not going to cite it tonight, but, you know, if you want to dig through, Jude. Jude, you would see that occurring there. So how do we preach to damned people? These spirits of long ago were damned. So according to David Stern, this is his commentary from his New Testament commentary. He's saying the imprisoned spirits are the angels who sinned from 2 Peter 2, okay, and abandoned their proper sphere. That is, they are the B'nai Ha-Elohim, the sons of God, the sons of the angels, also called Nephilim, the fallen ones. That's not spelled right, but anyway, who fell to the earth from their proper sphere, heaven, and came to the daughters of men and cohabitated with them in the days of Noah. Okay, so that's Genesis 6:2 through 4. When Yeshua went and made a proclamation to them, he was doing what the rabbinic midrashim said in Enoch, that Enoch did also after he walked with the Ha-Elohim, the angels, okay, the sons of God, and which means that he walked either with God. So Ha-Elohim, the Elohim, could mean walking with God or with the angels. That's Stern. So Stern is not going to argue the Sethite theory. So I crossed that section out. But, you know, people have argued this weird Sethite theory that the daughters of men met with the daughters of Seth, and that's what contaminated things. It doesn't match up, guys. It doesn't explain giants. It doesn't explain the end times. It doesn't explain anything at all. So I just crossed it off. That's Stern's commentary. He paid lip service to it, but then he said, but if the proclamation was to angels, it was not a salvation message, not the good news, not the Great Commission. For these angels, God has kept in darkness, bound with everlasting chains for the judgment of the great day. Rather, the proclamation must have been Yeshua's announcement that, stripping the evil angelic rulers and authorities, that is, the ones still at large, of their power, he made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them by means of the stake, the cross, you would call it. And Stern argues it's a stake. It's wood. Okay, either way, it works in terms of how we would look at it in the Hebrew. So, continuing on, this is more commentary, and this is my opinion based on my verses that I'm grabbing to talk about this. So, I'm saying you're thinking that when you're talking to people now about taking the mark of the beast, it seems so simple. It's like you just take whatever it is and you get to eat and live. So, but no one that is sexually immoral or godless, like Esau, brother of Jacob, who in exchange for a single meal gave up his rights as the firstborn, for you know that afterwards, when he wanted to obtain his father's blessing, he was rejected. Indeed, even though he sought it with tears, his change of heart was to no avail. Okay, so you're going to be contemplating taking this mark, and you're going to say, well, God will forgive me. No, he really won't in this case. This is that one time. So next I saw a great white throne, and the one sitting on it, earth and heaven fled from his presence, and no place was found for them. And I saw the dead, both great and small, standing in front of the throne. Books were opened, and another book was opened, the book of life. And the dead were judged from what was written in the books according to what they had done, which includes what was written was about the 666. So if you took the mark, you're going to be judged based on the mark. So in all of these thousands of years, with Noah preaching, with Lot preaching, with Moshe preaching, with other people preaching, the Great Commission, so to speak, from Isaiah, from from Matthew 28, we were supposed to preach that. But I'm saying that it's going to end at some point in time, and there's no need to preach to people that are already believers, other than to edify them. And there's no reason to preach to people that have the mark. They've already made their minds up. It's done. Sorry. You're going to want to preach to the in-between, not the lost. And the saved, just be friendly with them, but you're really trying to find the in-betweens. And they need to hear, and you need to proclaim him. And go to all the world and proclaim the gospel. Obviously, there's the other version of it, which is Mark 16:15. So what I'm getting at is, during these final 7 years, you're going to have the 144,000, the good ones. They are good. The two witnesses, they're good. The Kedoshim, these are believers, earthborn. You'll have angels and archangels and other things happening. You'll have interactions with angels and archangels. I'm arguing the in-between ones, these earthborn people that are ontologically existent. They're the ones that you want to find. I'm arguing that's your philosophy. It's going to change. There's no sense in preaching to a person with a 666 on their forehead and hand. There's no sense. There's nothing to be gotten from it. They can't be saved. Yes, it's going to be your husband or wife or son or daughter or cousin or mother or father or whoever it is. No matter how much you want to love them, they took the mark. They weren't thinking about it, and they took the mark. So these earthborn people that take the mark, there's no need to preach to them. I'm sorry. That's the philosophy that I see. So please, if you disagree, tell me where I'm wrong. But that's what I'm seeing. You're trying to find the in-between ones. And so you can see, based on this is a Talmudic passage, that there's these in-between people have judgments suspended for these 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And so the evil of the evil, okay, the righteous are the righteous, but there's the in-between, have their judgment suspended during this time frame. We're going to have a brief opportunity to preach to the in-between ones. Okay, and then there's going to be the bad guys, the beast, but you'll never meet the beast. You'll never meet the false prophet. You'll probably never meet Gog. You'll never meet the king angel of the abyss. You'll never meet, you'll probably meet some 9-foot tall horse-like locusts. Yeah, you'll probably meet them. And the 200 million cavalry soldiers, yeah, from the sixth trumpet, the fifth and the sixth trumpet there. You'll probably figure out what's going on with that stuff. Okay, so this is a dream from Jerry Golden. I just want to publish it one more time. The smell was so bad that I covered my nose and my mouth, and it smelled like death everywhere. And I could hear people crying and others fighting and gunshots. And so, ultimately, you're going to bump into zombie-like people. Whether they have the mark or not, you're going to bump into in-between people that are going to be zombie-like too, because they just want to live another day. Everybody wants to live, okay, and take care of their family. So gunshots and very distant look in their eyes. These are going to be zombie-like people. Now, you're going to have to look for the in-between people. If they have the distant look in their eyes and they don't have the mark of the beast, they just need the good news, okay? Because it's not about your meal. It's not about, living or dying another day. It's about keeping the faith, okay? That's your philosophy lesson. Okay, they're going to be hungry. There's going to be gangs of men and women walking down the streets carrying guns and knives, shouting threats, wild and seeing looks in their eyes. You're going to have zombies, okay? And it looks like what caused all of this was the MP. So they're hungry, they're tired, they're miserable. They might be in between, okay? Wondering if it was like this everywhere. Who knows, strong smell of death. And you're going to see that mixed with chemicals, and it's going to be horrible. Winter, possibly the beginning of winter, people were cold and hungry. I'm in Minnesota. It's going to get cold and hungry, and you can be hungry for a while, and then you'll be killed by others, because that's a threat from the zombies. So I'm arguing that we're in the birth pangs right now. We're in seal 3. We're moving into the tribulation at some point in time. I don't know when. And then the Great Tribulation for the final 3.5 years. I'm arguing that I don't think zombies can be saved, people. I think you're wasting your breath. I think you have to find the in-betweens. And so the birth pangs that you're reading right here that are from Matthew 24 resemble the seals. They do. And so we're bouncing through the seals. I say that we're in seal 3 right now. I'm saying seal 1 seemed to occur in 1967. Seal 2 was 2001, 2003 with the Bush Cheney oil wars. And then seal 3 is the only one that I really know. I have a time date stamp on that one, summer of 2012. And you're noticing now, you're noticing food prices about a 10-year time frame later. They're raising very, very quickly. I don't know if it's going to take another 10 years to get to seal 4. We'll see. We'll see. Here's seal 4. 4 different components, okay? So you're going to have Thurion, which is biological warfare, people, and you're starting to see that right now, whether it's the jab or whether it's another disease coming down the line. You're seeing that. But it's also coupled together with supernatural death and drought and just death in general. You're going to see, according to the Bible, 1.9444 billion deaths. Then seal 5 after that, and seal 6, and we'll move along. So remember, you want to keep your garments clean. So when you're working with people towards this wedding, it's all about keeping the faith, and it's all about preaching to the in-between. So I'm arguing that, and if you disagree with me, I understand. Please comment. But I'm thinking, based on what I'm researching and reading, that it's the in-between, people. You can't help people with the mark of the beast. And there's no sense in spending a lot of time just sitting in a church with other believers. That's not the point of this. You're going to have to meet up with people that are in the in-between and work with them and help edify them and get them to realize this is all biblical. It's all very biblical. Be blessed. Take care.